Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. Now, the Commonwealth Youth Games is on from August 4th to the 11th, and we put them in the spotlight this morning as we get some more updates on the Games. And joining us this morning to give that insight is the president of the Commonwealth Games Association, Ms. Diane Henderson, who's also the president of the TTOC. So no stranger to the morning show. Morning and welcome.
Good morning, good morning. Happy to be here.
I can imagine. Our very first medal being gold. We have a lot to celebrate. But we're going to take it back a little bit because we have to talk about the grand spectacle that was that opening ceremony. Any insight you can give us as to the thought process behind and involvement as much as possible? Because I know that there is a third party responsible for doing so, but you had to have had some sort of input. Yes?
Grand, yes. And we are very, very happy with how it came out. A few things that I did mandate was time and how long the show should be.
Okay.
Too often, opening ceremonies tend to be way too long for the athletes, and staying athlete focused, that was one of the things that we wanted. And yes, the idea was to give history of Trinidad and Tobago and history of our carnival through that. So I think that was achieved. So, and I think that they all got all facets of everything. And therefore we were very pleased, and we got quite a few positive, very good responses afterwards.
Absolutely. I've been seeing it everywhere. People who have not been paying attention to sport all of a sudden were interested. And more than anything, they were also impressed that while the grand opening took place in Trinidad, Tobago had its own introduction of sorts as well.
Yes.
Now, the putting on of that show simultaneously in two different locations must have had its challenges.
Of course. There's the technology challenge, which actually occurred, but maybe some people would not have noticed. There was no audio at some point, but no, just for a short period, and they fixed that quickly with the live stream in Tobago. However, so what Tobago did is, and I'm saying Tobago did, but it's our team that's replicated in Tobago.
Right.
Is have the athletes, again, focusing on the athletes' experience, making sure the athletes had a little parade outside leading up to, so they started at 3 p.m. Leading up to, had a little bit of a small version of a little Tobagonian characters and so forth, and dancing and so, and then they all went into the auditorium. Well, they paraded into the auditorium where they were able to experience and be part of the opening ceremony. So yeah.
Beautiful. Now, for those of us who don't have the complete sense of the significance of the Commonwealth Games, it is the first time that it's being held in a Caribbean nation, correct?
Well, Bahamas is Caribbean to us, but it's also of the Americas. So
right. Well, so officially.
Yes, officially it's Caribbean, first Caribbean.
And in terms of what that means for us as a host nation, what is the value of hosting these sort of events?
Well, first of all, it's 70 countries that are visiting. So immediately, we have media teams from around the world. Immediately, it sheds light on Trinidad and Tobago, right? And then, obviously, the interest in different facets of who are we, what are we good for, our economy, our industry, who is Trinidad and Tobago, for those that don't know. So yes, that's what bringing sport to our islands does for our country. So that's just one. And then bringing the whole idea of the sport and the athletes, that's a whole other area. Bringing that focus from our own public to sport, as which we would like to do more and get the youths involved in sport more and expand on that, So there's a lot of exposure.
Now, you mentioned the economics of the matter in terms of the sporting world and monetizing sport. It's always been a conversation that we have had across the country, across the region. How does the Games contribute towards that end as well?
Well, yeah, one of the things of the objectives was the infrastructure and how we can make sure to advance that a little more so that people can see us as a viable option to host any type of sport, any games, anything like that, And on the flip side, individuals and careers, sport is an option. So if we get more people into sport career-wise and different jobs, then you see that we have that support for the different fields and the different needs that we have, that we need to have in order to execute efficiently.
Sounds good to me. We're getting there, one game at a time, and we've had quite a few games so far. The
Yes.
calendar of events is packed, and as we were saying, it's happening in Tobago and Trinidad.
Yes, of course.
So granted that we've already seen some medaling, thanks to Nikolai, what can we look forward to as the day rather unfurls? What is up for today?
So today we start off with, in Trinidad, we have road cycling. And we have, I believe athletics starts today. We have swimming and cycling starts, no, road cycling is today. So track cycling starts tomorrow.
Okay.
In Tobago, we continue with rugby and beach volleyball. I was privileged to be in Tobago yesterday for the triathlon, the first triathlon event, medal ceremony as well, and then rugby and beach volleyball. So those will continue. Triathlon's second event is the relays on tomorrow. So, and then netball starts. So we'll have all four tomorrow. It's going to be a packed day in Tobago as well.
Tobago is seeing it. Tobago is also seeing that new state-of-the-art volleyball ground, would be the right term?
Court.
There we go. And in terms of the prep, we were given some insight to how that was done and the work that was put in there. Hats off to the team, because
Yes,
that was pretty incredulous as well.
They did fabulous, you know. And I just sitting there and looking at it and taking some, you know, photos and videos of the whole, it's really fabulous. We have something there that we can, that exactly is the legacy, so that I mean, we have so much scope that we can do there,
Right.
and I just hope that Tobago really, and the country really makes use of it appropriately.
So that leads me to what would have probably been one of my last questions, but ultimately, what is the hope that we should see at the close of these games? Not just a long list of medals, because I know that's on top there, but ultimately for the world of sport from the Trinidad and Tobago perspective, what is the hope?
For the closing?
Well, at the
not the
culmination
closing.
of
Okay,
the
right.
games.
Because there's a closing.
There is a closing in Tobago,
So,
which we are looking forward to.
But yeah, well, that's the whole thing. As I said before, some of it, you know, is about making sure that we don't drop the ball, making sure that we keep there with, you know, we maintain usage of the facilities, maintain, you know, the athletes have to have a certain amount of access that, you know, supports that performance enhancement, and, you know, and continue the development of sport in schools, development of high-performance coaches. So one of the things we really want to get off the ground is to make sure that our coaches are now going to be certified at higher levels, all. So therefore, throughout the sport. So therefore, that's one of the gaps, because we don't have coaches at a higher level, where between that teenage gap and the 20 and the into the professional,
Right.
that's where the gap is. So we need to then get our coaches advanced, so that coaching can occur here at that level.
And that immediately makes me think about the only female volleyball referee, certified person that we have, Betty Ann, because she is works with the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service, and the types of things that she had to go through to get that sort of certification were not available at the time. So if I'm hearing you correctly, the intention is to create those opportunities locally as well, or to support other persons going abroad to study it?
The easier way to get more is really to bring the certification here and have the programs here. So you bring the certified person from the International Federation, and they can do the programs here or virtually as it is now.
Right.
So that there's no excuse. So now that so that they can, that's one of the things we did with the Michael Johnson program, and we have a few, at least I think a dozen coaches who were coached at a higher level at that, you know, the periodization, and so that would assist, you know, in getting it done.
We're looking forward to it. Now, what we also look forward to is making sure that we have safe, incident-free, and successful games. So let's talk a little bit about the safeguarding thereof, in one way or the other.
So part of our legacy and the educational factor for the games was to, it's going on already, to enhance the safeguarding aspect. Safeguarding is still coming out of all the different issues that are gymnastics and all the different issues around the world that we hear about. There's actually a development of a team, and they have been going around. They have developed this whole policy, and they have been doing a lot of education programs throughout the entire thing. So in the back, behind the scenes, there's a lot of anti-doping education programs with athletes, and from each of the countries and groups. And there's like Saturday afternoon, there's one going on, and then there's another safeguarding preview today. I want to give a little insight. One time that on the 8th of August, that's tomorrow. The 8th of August is Safe Sport Day.
Oh.
So there will be some activities for Safe Sport Day tomorrow, and there's an educational factor this afternoon as well. So it's ongoing, and the athletes get to understand what they could look out for, who they can contact if anything happens, you know, if anybody, any type of, you know, requirement, as well as a part of the educational part thing is the anti-doping,
Right,
you know,
of course.
Less tests, more education.
Now, as much as that focus is on athletes, will any of this information be shared publicly as well? Just from the standpoint of, again, having more intelligent conversation, more intelligent investment from the participants and the viewers alike. Will that sort of information be made available as well?
Just repeat that. Some part of it I missed.
I was asking if that sort of information, so yes, we know it's geared towards the athletes, safeguarding, that is educating them on who they can contact, what they can and can't do. Will that information be made public as well? Because when we hear about these, specifically with anti-doping, for example, hear about these subjects, these topics, a lot of the times we think extremes in terms of drug usage, when in fact it's very specific to the types of drugs that they use. So sometimes to make a more intelligent conversation and a more intelligent audience, we might need access to that sort of information.
So with the safeguarding, every single person had to go through, who was dealing with the games, had to actually get, all the volunteers, all the officials, had to go through a little program, all the exec in the LOC. So yeah, everybody had to go through a minimum
Some basic knowledge,
2 hour, 3 hour course. So yes, but but the education is quite informative. What you can, what you can't do, what you to support, you know. So that is being made public because it concerns everybody. It concerns how you deal with your child.
Right.
It concerns a lot. So the other factor is the anti-doping. Yes. Education will get out there. I think that it's a process, and yeah, it's a difficult one with anti-doping. So what can be, it's a very confidential area,
right.
And in terms of the types of drugs or what do you call it, substances that can't be used, it's all available online, you know, but nobody's going to just go look at it. They're going to just wait till they hear something, then to wonder. And then so that's something that we have to look at.
Well, speaking of looking at, I know you're looking forward to the future of the Games, not just the outcome of this one and that grand closing ceremony in Tobago, and you're looking forward to bigger crowds. So the two things I want you to leave us with is, one, a reminder of how we can get those tickets so we can be a part of it, and whether or not we can look forward to hosting another game anytime soon.
So, concerning the tickets, you know, they say when you win a race, don't ask me immediately if I'll go again, right? That's like the Iron Man. You just finished, and somebody asks you if you want to go back, and you never can answer.
Yeah.
I won't answer the second question. But the first one, because we're still in the midst, the first one, definitely Trinbago 2023.com. You get all the information. In fact, you get the start list and the results for the games on the website, as well as you get the information for your tickets. There's a ticket tab there, and you can go in and get tickets there, or you can go direct to tikkets for tickets.com, and you can get your tickets online. But of course, we have games day sales going on, right? So that you can go at the venues and get
And
your
get your tickets.
entry right there. Yeah.
So let me say thank you then, Ms. Anderson, for joining us this morning, although I will follow up with you on whether or not you're fair in the midst of this thing I can ask you if you're going again. So as soon as it's done, we'll find out if we'll be hosting another game of any grandeur. But right now we are celebrating the successes thus far, whether it be the medals or just the successful execution of the games with the Commonwealth Youth Games Trinbago 2023, happening from the 4th to the 11th of August, so right now as we speak. And of course, Diane Henderson, the president, joining us this morning to give us some insight. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you at the next game.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much.
Guys, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, even more things to add to your calendar, more things you want to keep up on right here, right now on TTT.